Jeffrey is always angry. He wants you to believe that he's tough, but he's actually a bit of an insecure pussy. He uses the outward anger and aggression that he constantly shows at the smallest incidents as a defense mechanism to cover up his weaknesses. Jeffrey makes people feel uncomfortable, but he feels like that makes him more powerful. It doesn't. It just makes him more hated. Because of that, he lives a pretty lonely, lone wolf life. Don't be like Jeffrey. There's a correct way to reclaim your male aggression. I've been a pussy for almost all of my life. Any level of aggression and disagreeableness that I may have had was beaten out of me by my parents. I want you to imagine that specific scenario where there is an injustice that 5-year-old Hamza faced, and at that injustice, I rightly would have gotten a bit annoyed as a child, a bit angry, and thrown a tantrum. And showing any kind of negative emotion, especially aggression in my household, meant that I would at least get threatened, if not physically hurt. That conditioned me to always be quite sensitive and peaceful. But really, I had those aggressive, violent thoughts in my mind. I wasn't able to express that aggression, and so it was always just held inside of me. It's only up until recently that I've reclaimed my male aggression, and things feel very different now. Adonis isn't an aggressive man, but he can be. When his tribe is threatened, Adonis can kick into action. He has the capability of aggression and violence. He doesn't want to use it, but he knows it's vital to have it. And because of this ability to be angry, to be aggressive, and to protect himself, Adonis can live a genuinely peaceful and safe life. Learning about childhood trauma is absolutely vital if you feel like you've been a pussy for most of your life. The scenario that you can probably relate to is that you would have had a reason to be angry or to vent as a child, but that expression of negative emotion was stomped by your parents, who thought that they should teach you to not show that level of aggression because it's a bad thing. That's honestly due to the feminized society that we live in, that a young boy showing a healthy level of aggression is stomped out because we're supposed to treat boys and girls the same. When I read about this in the book Complex PTSD by Pete Walker, I was so interested. The real healthy way that parents should interact with their child when their child is throwing like a temper tantrum, when the child is being aggressive, is to allow them to express that aggression. This blows my mind. Most parents have never read a book on how to be a good parent. They've never even literally Googled how to be a good parent. And so they go by their whims and they think, okay, aggression is bad because the society and the law tells us that aggression is bad. And so when the child is rightfully venting about an injustice that they're facing, which to them is a big deal, it might be that they no longer get to play. Yeah, that they don't, they've got to go to bed now, but they didn't want to. And the child gets angry for that. They're supposed to be able to vent, because if we squash this child's ability to vent and to show aggression, it can truly have quite devastating consequences as they get older. In Jordan Peterson's book 12 Rules for Life, in the first chapter, he mentions the children who have an inability to disagree and to stand up for themselves. These are the children who weren't allowed to stand up for themselves against their parents because they would get even more punishments. In your school, in your teenage years, in your early adult years, this will probably make you a victim of bullying, because the bully victims are the ones who simply take it. And what's so interesting is that all around you will be this influence to not stand up for yourself if you are the bully victim. That's what society and the law tells you. It's like, don't stand up for yourself, call the teacher. That's fucking bullshit. The amount of children who are getting bullied, who, one, don't even feel safe enough to go to the teacher because then they'll get socially outcasted because they're the snitch who told the teacher, but two, who tell the teachers try to do something, but they simply can't. There isn't actually a good system in most schools to protect the child from bullying. The only true thing that you can do, and this isn't to incite violence, but I can't think of a different way, maybe someone can comment, but the only true thing you can do is stomp that bully, is stand up for yourself. What worked 100 years ago on the playground still works today, but it's just that the bully victim today is so conditioned that he has to just take it because there's nothing else you can do. And it seems quite insignificant for the victim. Okay, he just has to take this kid's mocking him, or maybe the kid's f***ing around with his face or something. But this seeps into all areas of that victim's life. He becomes a pushover, he becomes way too agreeable. He'll go on to make less money, less promotions, and his place in the social, the dominance hierarchy will be lowered. This is an injustice that you have to stand up for. So the modern world around you has squashed your ability to vent and to be aggressive. Now, this isn't to say to be an asshole, and someone's gonna comment taking this the wrong way because they've seen the word aggression. That's like the fucking blue pill little feminized spurg that I'm criticizing right now, because it's those people that have led to this problem of young men being fucking castrated pussies. This isn't to say to be an to be aggressive towards people. This is to at least have the capability of aggression when it's needed. And there is no better time to exert this capability of aggression to protect yourself. The amount of young guys who would literally get physically hit and they'll just sit there, and everyone, the modern world around us will say oh yeah, they're the strong one because they stayed relaxed. No, they're not. I'm telling you right now, that strong one, that victim, is going home, and almost every single day for the next years of his life, he's overthinking about that same injustice that he got slapped by some random bully. I'm telling you right now that isn't like, he's the bigger person. No, he's not. You are not the bigger person because you didn't fight back. If you don't protect yourself, you are a coward. If you don't protect yourself, you are a pussy. Because none of those kids who didn't protect themselves against the bully are actually going home like, yep, I'm the big guy. Like, they're not thinking that. And the bully isn't thinking that. And everyone around subconsciously is not thinking that. People will be weighing you up in the social hierarchy. And when they see you taking shit from someone else, you move down in this hierarchy. When you move down in the social hierarchy, all parts of your life get worse. It's kind of like moving down in the percentages of men. Like, you want to be in the top 20% of men. If you get pushed down to the 40% of men, well, congratulations, you're now going to be sexless and deprived from intimacy. The first step to reclaiming your male aggression is actually having your eyes open to realize that it isn't normal to be passive, to allow injustices in your life, that it is normal and healthy to voice your resentment, to voice your frustration at something. Do you know how uncomfortable you feel when someone makes like a somewhat of like a complaint in like a restaurant or something? That's the healthy person. That is literally the healthy person who wasn't abused by their parents. But everyone else who gets like the wrong meal in a restaurant or the food's cooked poorly and who just eats it, they think they're being the nice people who didn't complain or something. They're the pussies. They're gonna go home and feel like, yeah, I was too much of a coward to just say to the waitress like the food's not good enough and maybe they could get me a different one. And again, we're not gonna do this in like a dickheady way. We're not gonna hurt someone. We're not gonna make people feel bad. But if there's something that is like a threat to you and your well-being, you have to do something about it. The second step is to try and figure out exactly why you've been a pussy. And for most young men, it's gonna be because of your parents. Because there was a point when you should have been able to express your aggression and your anger as a child and it was stomped out. The third step is to get pissed off at that second step. And we can have a level of gratitude and a level of forgiveness, and that's 100%, that's really great in self-improvement. But it's very interesting for people who've experienced childhood abuse and you've experienced, you know, parents who really used to shout at you and threaten you and beat you. A lot of the conventional advice of like, don't be angry is actually detrimental. Being angry right now is actually progress for you. Going to like punch a bag, punch in your bed or something, to get pissed off at the fact that you weren't raised in the healthy way is a healthy release of anger. The people who say like, I never get angry, they get angry. They truly get angry. It's just that they're too much of a coward to express that anger into the real world, and so they keep it in their mind. And finally, the fourth step is just what you do around the clock. Be open to expressing the anger and the aggression, but also know that you deserve the consequences of expressing your aggression. So if you express your aggression in a dickheady way, like fat British people do in the pub, like racist motherfuckers, and you know, they're just like being loud or some bullshit. I don't know if I've got like quite a negative perception of like British, like I guess British people are kind of nice, but I hate people who go to the pub, man. Racist motherfuckers. I bet they're not even racist, but I don't know. That's me reclaiming my aggression because a bunch of them have been racist to me. There is a wrong way to express this aggression, and if you pursue this wrong expression of your aggression, you deserve to get hit by someone who you've pissed off, who's like drunk in the pub or drunk in the club or something. The healthy way to express your aggression generally doesn't really hurt anyone unless that person is literally physically trying to hurt you too. At that point, there is no pussying around. There is no like, oh, let me call 999 or, you know, let me, the bouncer, excuse me, this gentleman is touching me. Shut the f up, bro. If someone's physically hitting you, bro, you knock that guy out, man. Now, if it's a level below that and someone isn't like physically attacking you just yet, you'll find it is okay for you to shout at someone who's pissing you off. If someone's being racist, if someone's making fun of you right now, it's okay for you to get loud. You are not the bigger person if you stay seated and like with your head down. You shut that motherfucker up. If there's someone who's bullying you right now, if you're in school right now and there's a kid who always teases you, I'm telling you right now that no one in your class, including yourself, thinks that you're the bigger person because you sit there with your head down and you take it. But society will keep telling you that you are the bigger person. It's bullshit. You get loud, throw your water bottle at that dumb little kid's face. Yes, it will escalate, but I promise you after that, if you do enough damage, that kid's not going to pick on you anymore. Bullies only pick on weak people. If you are getting bullied, it's probably because you are currently weak and you're not even trying to defend yourself. And there's also like sadistic facts with this, that you make quite attractive noises when you get bullied. You make like, you know, like you like suffer and you like you make like whimpering noises. And that's as someone who's got like a up mental health, and of course that bully's getting bullied at home. I want you to just think of that right now. The whimpering sounds that you make because you're a coward is satisfying to the person who's hurting you. Why would you let that continue? Why would you believe the people around you who say that you're the bigger man for this? No one believes that shit. I wouldn't say that I've ever truly been like bullied, but I've certainly felt like, you know, injustices of like kids like picking at me on school and they're doing some bullshit. I wish I could go back right now and hurt those motherfuckers. And of course someone's gonna say, oh, Hamza, that's not healthy, Hamza, like whatever bullshit. I don't think that it's healthy to be physically hurt or humiliated by someone else and for you to sit there just passively just fucking take it. That's not what's healthy. If someone is threatening you physically or emotionally, you need to defend yourself. And okay, you'll get in trouble with like the school, you get detention or some bullshit, right? But the thing is that the bully wasn't even getting that anyway. Like if you're getting picked on at school, chances are like the person who's picking on you isn't constantly getting put in like detention. He's not constantly getting punished. And so for you to stand up to yourself, of course, it's going to be like a big thing because now there's two people fighting. It's like a huge like friction, like a clash. But even then, at least you'll get some respect for yourself, never mind the respect of like everyone in the room who now realizes like, oh yeah, like he'd actually defend himself instead of just being a fucking coward. That's when people start thinking of you as like the bigger man. Do not stay passive to injustices, because if you won't defend yourself, trust me when I say, no one else might. Do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. Mwah.